Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of East Got Game. We're giving you the X's, the O's, and all the insights from the NBL 1 East competition for 2025. My name's Squin, and with me, as always, is Lockie France. How are you today, Lockie?
I'm great. Squin, how are you doing on this fine Tuesday evening?
Oh, look, I'm okay. I was a little bit stressed and pressed leading into today's episode, but I'm ready to shake it off and get into another round of NBL 1 East. Looks like you had a huge round with Anzac Day for round 4.
Yeah, I called 4 games over the weekend. I did the Freeway Cup on Friday between Sutherland and Illawarra, which was great as always. And then went up to Alexandria and called Comets versus Maitland with Will Constantinides, which was absolutely awesome as well. Yeah, two really good games.
Yeah, that sounds great. And what was your preparation like going into the weekend, given you had 4 games? Now, 4 games on paper doesn't sound like a lot, because I think sometimes people think commentating is just sitting and watching and talking. They don't realize the hard work that goes into it. So what was your prep like?
Well, there's a notebook over there on my coffee table, which I put 12 pages into. 6 on Thursday and then 6 more on Saturday. So
yeah,
that was my preparation, all handwritten.
That is a lot, my friend. That is a lot. Wow. But was it all worth it, I take it?
Always worth it. Always worth it.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear. And just before we get started into the episode, we'd like to say thank you for joining us tonight live on YouTube. Instagram is not working just yet. I'm not too sure if I'll be able to get it working now that we're already streaming. So that's okay. But thanks for joining us on YouTube. And if you're listening to us after our recording time, we can still subscribe to our YouTube channel for next time, or follow us on Instagram and Facebook at East Got Game. All our episodes will always be uploaded onto your favorite streaming platforms as well. So on today's episode, we'll be covering our East Got Game of the week for round 4, our top performances of the round, and also an interview with a very special guest to cap off the episode. But first, we'll take a look at some of the headlines from round 4. So, Lockie, have you got any outstanding headlines in the NBL 1 East competition to share with us?
I do, and it's a very, very recent announcement. It is that North men have signed a new player. They have signed Austin Patterson out of the University of Montana, and it was only posted an hour ago on Instagram, and they've just come off a pretty good weekend, and now they've added another player to their NBL 1 men's roster. So the Bears are definitely on the come up.
Yes, like you said, it was literally an hour ago from time of recording tonight on Tuesday, the 29th of April, that the Bears announced this, as you said. And based on the description provided by the North Bears Association, they describe Austin as a dynamic guard who is, known for his scoring. And I think he's going to fit in quite nicely and be a missing piece for this North Bears outfit.
Yeah. He played about 20 minutes a game in his senior year in college, but definitely had the ability to score the ball even as far back as high school, was dropping 24 a game back in high school. So definitely knows how to fill it up.
And in our short preparation time for the episode, I did try and look for some highlights of Patterson's game online. All I could find was clips from high school. I couldn't find a lot of clips straight away from his college career, but maybe I have to dig a little deeper when I have some more time. But yeah, you did mention that the North Bears men's team are on the up and up. They had a shaky start to the season. We reviewed their game against the Bankstown Bruins for round 1 on a previous East Got Game episode. But now they're 3-3. They were able to get 2 wins recently in round 3, 1 at home and 1 on the road, 1 including Sutherland Sharks, I think. So it looks like that Coach Garlop has started to make some very small but significant changes, and has managed to turn the tide in a short period of time.
Yeah, it was a low scoring game they had against Comets as well. Managed to eke that one out, and yeah, then knocked off Sutherland, who had just knocked off Illawarra. So, I mean, that's very exciting for the league. That so the circle of teams beating teams is very exciting to see.
Yeah, the men's competition love this in the East, don't they? They love this kind of circle of chaos in who's beating this person, beat this person, this person beat this person. This is how we get that dreaded 5-way tie. We keep referring to it.
We do.
And we do. It's as long as we do this podcast, it's always going to get a reference at least once a season, I'm going to say. Another headline, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to some of our NBL 1 East athletes who are in some of the top 5 statistics from across the entire league. So not just in our conference, because I mean, that would be silly because everyone would be there. So in the men's competition, we have Luke Cassidy from the Central Coast Crusaders sitting 5th in assists overall, averaging 6.4. And then we have Mirko Derrick, who averaged 7 assists per game. But I think he's only played. Has he played since the start of the season, or has he only just joined the squad?
He only just got here. He was over in Sweden, where they are. I think his team got knocked out in 4 games in the first round of the playoffs. So 2 games, 5 assists in one, and 9 in the other.
Yeah, that's right. So I thought it was only a short period of time that he's been back in East, and I think sometimes with these NBL 1 conference or nationwide stats, I don't know. I think they should probably have like a particular average of games before including them in the whole stats. But it's very early days for everyone. I mean, North's only starting on Friday.
Yes.
In the rebounds, though, 3 of the top 5 all come from NBL 1 East. So Todd Blanchfield is second behind Jock Perry, averaging 13.80 rebounds per game. Hunter Goodrick is in third with 12.33 rebounds per game, and Ryan Beastie in 5th position with 12.20 rebounds per game. Is that something you would have expected from the East, Lockie?
I mean, those guys, I mean, Todd just looks like a different athletic specimen out there. And Hunter, and I mean, Ryan could be top 5 in any stat. And I wouldn't be surprised, to be entirely honest with you. And yeah, and Hunter just looks like a different animal out there. So not surprised that these 3 guys are pulling down rebounds for fun, to be honest.
Yeah, and you mentioned Ryan Beastie could be in the top 5 for any stat. Or I was just going to have a look to see if he at least made the top 10 for assists, because I know his assist numbers are already high this season. But I think sitting here at 8th of the top 10 is actually Lachlan Hutchinson from Sutherland Sharks. So Beastie not quite in the assists just yet, but in rebounds, though, certainly enough for bragging rights. And over to blocks, we've got Lino Manham from Central Coast Crusaders averaging 2.80 blocks per game. And then Zach Hudson in 3rd position, averaging 2.5 with that monster block that we saw a couple of rounds ago. Oh, that only ended up being like number 5 on the plays of the week as well.
Yeah, I mean, Manham, he is a very, very tall human and parked himself around the rim a lot, especially when you compare it to someone like maybe like Johnny Kunagorak at Comets, who gets out around the perimeter a bit more. So definite trouble for anyone trying to get into the paint against the Crew. And Zach Hudson, who keeps getting up like he did for those blocks, or that block, the highlight block. Oh. He might get top 5 in highlight reel plays by the end of the season.
Oh, that one and that particular highlight has stayed in my mind so far all around. It will be hard to top that block, I think. And then we go down to the 3 points made per game. Max Clark from the Inner West Bulls is sitting at 4.5 and in 2nd place. And then we go over to steals, and we actually have 2 men in the top 5 steals in the entire league, with Christian Little from the Maitland Mustangs averaging 3.8 steals per game, and Mason Bragg in 5th place with 3.40 steals per game. And maybe it might be a good time, now we're talking about Christian Little and Mason Bragg, between you and I and some of our peers across the NBL 1 East, we have submitted our predictions for the end of year awards, and we'll be putting them on our Eastcott Game Instagram before round 5 tips off. And Christian Little and Mason Bragg are 2 names that have come up in Defensive Player of the Year when we surveyed our friends, Lockie. I'm sure you're not surprised to see either of them on the table for Defensive Player of the Year.
No, I am completely unsurprised. I know if you look at last year's voting, the steal numbers definitely had a big impact on the final selection. So maybe could be people think that who is deserving, or they might be just trying to gauge the selectors' vibe when it comes to that award again this year.
Vibe is a very good way to describe it. Sometimes that's all you can go up is just a vibe.
It's the vibe.
It's Marbo. It's the vibe.
It's Marbo. It's the vibe. And yeah.
And now we head over to the women's competition across Australia. Can you guess which NBL 1 East player is in the top 5 for points per game?
Nicole Munker?
Yeah, I was going to say, just go off your gut. What's the vibe? What's the vibe telling you who's going to be that 5th spot? It is Nicole Munker, averaging, get this though, she's 5th, averaging 27.20 points per game. Like that's an extraordinary number of points per game after 4 rounds to be averaging, and she's only 5th.
But 3 of the people above her are opals.
Correct. Annalie Maley with 33 points per game, Isabel Bourne with 30.67, and Maddie Rocci with 27.4. Then sitting pretty on 4th spot is Brooke Basham with 27.25. All very high caliber scoring from this women's competition. Assists per game. We unfortunately don't have any East representatives in there yet, but also featuring a few opals in that category. And we go to blocks per game. Number 1 in the country, number 1 in the East is Jada Rice from the Bankstown Bruins. And then we've also got the 5th spot, Hannah Chicken from Newcastle Falcons with 2.0.
Love Hannah Chicken.
Love Hannah Chicken. Big fan of Hannah Chicken. In the free throws made, we've got Talia Tupaya at the very top of that list across the country, averaging 9.25 free throws per game. She's just so good at putting herself in a position where if she's not scoring, she's drawing a foul.
What she's been doing literally since she was 15 years old in the WNBL.
Correct. And we still fall for it. She's still so good at it. And in the same category, Abby Curtin is averaging 6.83 free throws per game. And in the 3-pointers made per game, Riley Lutfer is 2nd, averaging 4.40. And former Eastcott Game guest is Shakira Riley with 4.0. And then take a guess who's topping the steals per game in the whole country.
Well, I am looking at the list, so I know who it is. But I can guess pretty easily. It's Jessie May Hall.
Jessie May Hall, the 18-year-old, is topping the whole country in steals per game with 6.33. She is above Jazz Shelley, Izzy Borlays, above them. That is mind-blowing.
And I was just checking the top 10 in assists to see if we actually snuck anyone in. Jessie May Hall and Vanessa Panousis equal 6 with 6.67 assists per game. And Carla Pittman in 10th at 6.4. So not the top 5, but still very well represented.
And 6.4 to be 10th, again, just shows that caliber of talent that's playing in the NBL 1 women's competition. But like 6 assists per game is already outstanding, and to be 10th is wild.
Yeah, legit.
And what's interesting about the assists statistic as it stands is that top of the list is a centre. Love to see it.
Yeah, a very, very good centre.
Very, very good centre, yes. Zatina Akuso's over in Western Australia playing for Wellington Tigers is averaging 8.67 assists per game. She's certainly gotten a lot out of her debut season in Europe, but we shouldn't harp on too much about the talents of NBL 1 West, should we?
No, they can. I'm sure they have plenty of very good podcasters to talk about their league.
Yes, especially like our friends at Hey Power Radio.
That's on.
Now, something that I want to talk to you about, Lockie, is Will Mayfield from the Canberra Gunners in his MVP season. Tell me what you think.
Well, I hope so, because I picked him.
You sure did. So there's a little bit of a sneaky insight into Lockie's predictions for the season.
I mean, the way he's going at the moment, combined with how well his team is doing, the biggest challenge might be one of his teammates. I mean, that's just the thing. I mean, yes, he is definitely playing well enough and doing enough to be MVP, but is Glenn Morrison going to take a couple of votes from him here or there, and is that enough to swing things? Because those two between them are just absolutely killing it. I mean, there's a lot of players out there that are very, very good. I mean, we're talking about Will Mayfield in a league where, like, Todd Blanchfield's second in scoring, but I just think I think the grand final loss, they're hungry to come back, and Will himself is very, very hungry to, because he came back from Mount Gambier, got him back to a grand final, didn't get it done on the big day, and yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm big on. I feel like I'm big on Canberra every year, but especially this year.
Yes, and our Eastcock game listeners and fans are probably keen to see as well who we've predicted to win the championship. And the Gunners have been favourites amongst some of our peers, but more of that when we release those slides online. But Will Mayfield, if we talk about statistics just in the East, he is leading the conference in scoring at the moment with 23.00 points per game. And his teammate, like you said, Lockie, who may take a couple of votes away from Mayfield, Glenn Morrison, is fifth in points per game with 20.6. And Mayfield is also featured in 3 points made per game. He's second with 4.0. I think if he maintains these numbers, he's definitely going to be in the conversation. But also statistically as an individual, he's already averaging more points, more rebounds, and more assists per game than he has his previous seasons with the Gunners. He's averaging 8.4 rebounds as well, and 4.4 assists. Certainly on track. What I don't think, other than perhaps the Brindabella Beacon accidentally pinching some votes, if Will Mayfield stays healthy, he's definitely got to be in contention.
I mean, he just went out and dropped 33 against COE on the weekend. I mean, they've got the Hunter Valley Road double on the 10th and 11th of May. We'll see how he does in those two games. Maitland first, then Newcastle. So we've already seen that Albury Wodonga women split that 1-1. So see if Canberra can come through that unscathed and how their stars do.
And then we also need to make mention that the Bankstown Bruins and the Illawarra Hawks women got their first win in round 4. One of the two we're going to feature later in the episode. But how about those Bruins with a gutsy win over the Crusaders? That must have felt good on their home court.
Oh, 100%. You talk about, trying to tread water till your big name import shows up and, still waiting on to beat a Dale. That British season feels like it runs longer than the NBA.
Doesn't it just?
But, as I've said before, and I'll say to anyone who'll listen, that they could have, probably 2 or 3 wins under their belt by now if DeVita was here for the entire time. But, they got one on the board. So they've just eked it out. Central Coast with no Jazz Forcadell. I think we have another headline to mention for the reason she wasn't at the game. But, they eked it out. They had 4 players in double figures. They had 3 players with double doubles. Sienna Tatani and Kiana Davis-White putting up stat lines that almost matched Jada Rice, who almost had a 5x5. She had 11 and 13 and then 4 assists, 4 steals, and 4 blocks. That is just doing it all and, getting
doing it all, really.
It really is. You remember they were trailing in that game at halftime and stormed home in the back end. So,
yeah, you're right. You're right. They were trailing by 5 at halftime and, turned it around. I'd love to know what the coach said at halftime to inspire them to get the win in the second half. But the Bruins went on to win the third quarter 15-7 and then the fourth quarter 22-11. So a convincing 14-point win in the end for the Bruins.
Go Bruins.
Go Bruins. And now something that we need to talk about, which may be a little bit unorthodox for us to talk about on eScott Game, because normally we like to keep it pretty positive, pretty light. But this has just become such a fascinating point of conversation in the last couple of days. Are you ready to get into it? Are you ready to speculate?
I am ready to wonder what the hell is going on.
Okay, so for context, for those that are listening, and for those that perhaps may not have seen this on our Instagram story or not follow us on Instagram yet, there was a post that came up via another Instagram page that I follow. Perhaps I won't mention the page, but this page presents itself as the most successful professional player placement program in the world, which is a big call. The page has 21.6 thousand followers on Instagram, even lists its WhatsApp number in their Instagram bio. And this very page, it's one of those pages where they screenshot potential jobs for athletes all over the world, like where they can get a player contract. So, for example, 5 days ago, they advertised that there's some male job openings in the Big V in Victoria, guaranteeing $3,000 a month, immediate start, gym access, Wi-Fi, because apparently Wi-Fi is an attractive thing for players playing internationally. So a lot of jobs like that. Sometimes the presentation of some of these ads, I think they're either a literal screenshot from the website and posted, but I can't verify whether this person is just putting jobs out there as like just to help people, or if they're then providing the service of connecting the person to the club. So the post in question was posted 3 days ago. Female job opening. An organization in the WNBL 1 East is looking to replace and sign 2 imports for the remainder of the season. They will review all position, and offer respectable pay, flights both ways, gym access, and meals. This is a great player for female athletes. A great player for female athletes, so not a great club.
Yeah.
Needing a summer opportunity. What do you make of this so far, Lockie?
Well, to start with, we tried to figure out what club has 2 imports and would be dumping them, and we couldn't come up with one.
Yes, we couldn't come up with one at the time. Yes, keep going with your train of thought, and then I'll.
And I mean, calling it the WNBL 1 East kind of felt kind of weird. And yeah, I was trying to come up with the situation. Like, is it sign one, replace one? like replace one and sign an extra, and yeah, there's something about screenshotted things that just nothing about it felt 100% right. It felt kind of weird, but it's like one of those things that's like, oh, someone's advertising players in NBL 1. And you start thinking about which club needs players, which club has imports, which club could use another import. But something about it didn't feel 100% normal.
I'll be honest with you. When some of our listeners and friends from the East replied to this Instagram story, my response was, it feels scammy.
Yeah.
Based on the screenshots, the language that's used. Sometimes you'll get those texts where you're like, oh, the ATO need my receipts from 2008 to 2009 all of a sudden. And then you go, hang on, the spelling's wrong. The punctuation's wrong. This feels a little bit scammy. So I'm not too sure if perhaps there's a communication breakdown, given it is an overseas company, or what. But yeah, for me, that also read a bit scammy, where I'm like, this doesn't look right. But then going back to what you said before about how we were trying to think of the team. So someone very kindly has messaged us and was like, have you figured out the teams yet? And I was like, no. So we're going through the teams that have 2 imports in the women's competition. And that's Maitland, Sydney Comets, Bankstown Bruins, Penrith Panthers, Newcastle, and Albury. And we can confidently say it's not Albury. I think we can confidently say it won't be Newcastle, where both imports are going to be replacing, because one would think is still technically Nicole Munger. I don't think it would be Penrith, because both of their imports are performing well.
And one of them they just brought back for a second season anyway. So
yes, that's right. Correct. Maitland, I don't see that happening. Bankstown, one hasn't even arrived yet, so that might be a little bit unfair. So I guess it puts a question mark on Comets, but given that they've just included Kelly Chase in their squad, why would they go then and advertise for her to be replaced?
And considering she's out, she's not even, it's like she lives in Australia, so they didn't bring her out for basketball anyway. It's not like they have to pay for her to be here as an import. She just happens to not be an Australian citizen.
Yes, correct. So, they're not shelling out money for, the contract and overheads and whatnot. That then left us scratching our heads, as well as like, okay, so what club actually wants to replace their 2 imports? Because now this sounds a little bit silly. And then got some very, very informative and interesting messages from a former player in the league, basically confirming that it is a scam.
Yes.
That this particular person has started to get a reputation amongst those semi-pro or professional players that we like to see, like that level of player in NBL 1 East and the like, of basically promising a lot of things to players and not delivering, and it's a bit of a scam. So even now, when I just tried to look them up on Instagram, just using the first 2 words of this particular account, there are 5 other accounts related to this particular name and that particular person on Instagram.
Yeah, that's never good.
No. And this particular person who very kindly messaged us all these receipts and screenshots, and there's news articles even about this particular person essentially being a scam and that it's fake. They use lots of different accounts. The WhatsApp number that's advertised on this Instagram account, I actually messaged on WhatsApp and was just like, hey, what club are you recruiting for? And they said, oh, that's only, I can only share that information with my clients. And I was like, okay. Just tried to get as much information out of this person as I could. The number is actually located in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So it's not even someone that's local.
Not a region we get a lot of imports from.
No, that's right.
Like 95% of the players that counted imports, if you include like Asia Oceania imports, are Americans. So unless they're coming from Europe to here.
And even then, I don't know why, I wouldn't know why athletes from North America or otherwise would want to use someone from Bosnia Herzegovina to get them to Australia. There's other more direct routes to do that. So I asked this guy, are your clients agents or clubs? And he said, players enroll in our program and become our clients. Then we get their film and information and then send it to clubs. But yes, it's all reading very scammy. So for those listening, if you'd like to know what the profile is, send us a message on Instagram at eScottGame. Happy to share it with you so you and your friends can avoid potentially getting scammed by this particular outlet.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's really, really disappointing when there's people out there trying to take advantage of others, knowing that, people have so many aspirations to play at a high level and play overseas, and now there's people out there exploiting that. But it's also a good lesson as well for those who want to take their game either overseas or otherwise and need a bit of extra help and you need an agent. Just remember that whether it's basketball or any other kind of industry, you don't pay agents up front to get a job. And this also, sound advice also came from our secret squirrel in our DMs. If an agency really wants to represent you, they'll sign you up first with a contract and then book you a job and then only take their commission. So anyone that's asking for money up front, just be cautious. All right. Well, that was my main piece of gossip from the NBL 1 East. It's a very unorthodox piece of gossip and information.
For all the news and gossip we've had over the 2 and a bit seasons, that is definitely up there.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to keep an eye on it to see if any more WNBL 1 posters come up, or to see if there's actually any roster changes regarding imports in the men's and women's competition. You never know. Now, I'm just aware of the time. It's 7:45. We do have our guest jumping on at 8, and we still need to do our game review. So should we do our other segments first, Lockie, for the sake of time?
Yes.
So let's do we'll do our good eggs of the week before we get prepared for our lovely guest that's going to be on in about 10 to 12 minutes. I feel like I've been talking this entire episode, Lockie, so please you start off the segment with your good egg of round 4.
My good eggs. So I have one from Friday afternoon or Friday evening. And my good egg, I was tasked with the men's side this week, is Luke Jamison from the Sutherland Sharks. He's been out of the game a while. Not out of the game, but not played 5-on-5 at this level for a while after he finished up he was with the Illawarra Hawks, played a bit of kneeful footy in the ruck for Canberra. He's come back. Pat Williamson had wanted to sign him for yonks. They finally got him this year, and he's only gone out and he's less than half a dozen games in, and he's already picked up an Anzac round medal for 16-10 on Anzac Day in a comeback win over Illawarra. Sutherland, they were down 30-17. Luke Jamison just looking absolutely great out there. Just a great addition to the team as a player. And I haven't had the chance to talk to him individually, but he just seems like a really top bloke. I know SJ from Love of the Game thinks he's pretty great as well. So, there you go, Luke Jamison. And then I just want to give a secondary shout out to Jack Edwards from Maitland, who once again was off representing Australia in touch footy over the weekend in the Trans-Tasman series over in Christchurch. Picked up 2 tries as the Australian team picked up a 3-0 series win over New Zealand. So, Jack, that's enough touch footy. Come back. Mustangs need you.
Do they, though? Do they need him?
Well, I wanted to commentate on him on Sunday.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's always a welcome addition to. We love watching him play. Since he was in Youth League, we've loved watching him play. So we do miss him. But whether the Mustangs, like, you know when they really need someone.
Many hands make light work.
That's right. But yes, no. And also, actually, you touched on it before. The reason why Jazz Forcadell wasn't playing against Bankstown on the weekend. Why was that?
She was getting married. Which is also, it appeared, why Alex Delaney wasn't at the Manly game, because she was there. So, it's another NBL 1 wedding.
We love an NBL 1 wedding. Normally they're in the off season, but Jazz is changing it up, having an in-season wedding. Looked like some close family and friends having a small, nice, intimate ceremony in the Philippines, where Jazz's dad Ed is from. It looked beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Didn't it just?
Yeah. If you're going to pick an overseas destination for a wedding, the Philippines, like especially El Nido, would be an excellent choice. Excellent choice. So, congratulations to Jazz and Dion, who are now Jazz and Dion Forcadell Smith. Taking on a double barrel, which we love to see.
Love it.
And now my good egg of the week. I also did a team again this week. And it was it's to the Maitland Mustangs women's team. They're my good egg of the week collectively, because what I really like about this team so far, well, we've always liked this team for their culture, their genuine love and support of each other in the highs and lows, and you can tell that they genuinely love playing with each other, because you've got the likes of Sydney Hunter as an import, like coming back to back seasons, right? So that's always a good sign when your import especially wants to come back. Your hometown heroes like Shaq and Rach Williams wants to come back. But it also looks like, purely based on statistics as well, that whatever they're running and how they're playing is really showcasing all of their players' strengths. So you've got Shaq and Sydney top scoring for their side with 20.4 and 20.0 points respectively. You got Rach Williams, the top of the assists. You got Sydney Hunter, the top of the rebounds. You got Rach, top of free throws. You got Shaq, top of 3-pointers. Like, it all just seems like they're playing to their strengths. So I'd love to review one of their games later in the season for our EGG game of the week, to see what Coach Will Granger has put in place. And it looks like the Mustangs women are now currently on the ladder in, I was going to say second, but cement, in third position with a win-loss record of 4-1. They do play the Newcastle Falcons, though, in round 5, Lockie. Any early predictions on how that one's going to shape up? I
mean, everyone's got to play the Newcastle Falcons at some point. It's just something you have to deal with. They are the old local rivalry. It does some funny things. I mean, Newcastle will be favourites in every game they play this season, you'd have to say. But if Maitland don't turn the ball over 30 times again like they did against Comets, it might be a close one. The Maitland team will definitely be up for it.
They still got the win over Comets, though, despite those turnovers, right?
They did. Yeah, I called that game. Yes. So, yes. It was a story, once again, of one team turning the ball over, but the other team giving up a lot of offensive rebounds. And it all evened out in the end, and that's why I finished the close game.
Jeez, that old chestnut.
Yes.
Starting to become an NBL 1A staple sometimes. I wonder if that particular pairing of statistics must happen in the other conferences. And what about Will Granger, head coach now of the Maitland Mustangs women? I think he has had history of coaching at the NBL 1 level once upon a time when he was coaching, I think he was coaching the Crusaders men for a short period of time. I think this is his first job back as head coach of an NBL 1 team. What sense did you get of what he's putting in place? What are kind of his systems? What are kind of his non-negotiables based on the game that you got to commentate where the Mustangs played at Comets?
Well, I mean, I think you mentioned the culture that they have. And I think he's just leaning into that like team ball. And I guess probably the right term would be playing to the strength of the players that are feeling it almost. Shaq was outstanding, but they let her be outstanding. I mean, Shaq is always going to be the focal point, so it was easy to see there. But they ran with what was working. They didn't go away from it and try to get someone else hot, kind of thing like that. I mean, yes, they turned the ball over 30 times, but also they didn't have Rachel Williams there they didn't have Rachel Williams, and then Mila Woskovic fouled out early in the fourth quarter. So for various stretches, ball handling, kind of fell apart a bit, but just looks really positive. There was one when Miller fouled out, he subbed on Sophie Williams and ran one play and then subbed in Monique Rutter and Sophie subbed off. He just did this, like the brain explosion thing, like his fault for subbing on the wrong player almost, I think is what he was saying. And then just laughing it off and getting back to things. So, just not letting anything really get to them. And I think it was really good because Comets were storming home in that one. They just managed to finish it off. And Will, if you're listening, I had flashbacks to that Youth League semi when you were up one possession with 24 seconds to play. You'll know the one I'm talking about. But they got the win on this occasion.
Well, yes, they definitely did, only by 2 points too. So it looked like quite an exciting match, especially once you mentioned that Comets really made a storm home to get that win. Maitland, a couple of people down, lots of turnovers. Yes, and that I remember you texted me about that fateful situation about the timeout, and I know exactly what you mean. And I don't think it would be too far in the back of Coach Granger's mind either.
Do you know what else I found out about Maitland on the Sunday night? Is that Lexi Plater is still travelling down from Coffs Harbour every week.
Wow, she's
wild. Finishing year 12 and travelling down from Coffs Harbour to play every week. I can't believe that. That is wild. That is that's a lot. That's a lot to take on, right? Yes, that is huge.
Now, Lockie, our very special guest, has joined us in the green room of our studio, and we're both very excited to have this player as a guest. I thought that given you are such a fan of our athlete today, would you like to do the honors of reading the intro?
Oh, I suppose I could do that for one of my favorite players. You say everyone's my favorite player, and it's probably true, but this is definitely one of my absolute favorites. And they are arguably one of the most exciting NBL 1 East homecoming signings for 2025. They are known for their strong work ethic and for being a positive role model for every club they have played for. This athlete formerly had an underdog-type reputation and is now a staple in the NBL 1 after having a successful season with Mount Biambia Pioneers and in the WNBL with the Sydney Flames, Melbourne Boomers, and the UC Capitals. Off the court, they're a proud mental health advocate who often shares their personal journey on social media. Our guest today is Sherrie Calleia.
Hi!
Yay! Thank you for jumping on, and especially last minute arrangements made for get you to jump on, so we really appreciate it. But as soon as we saw you assigned to Hills for 2025, we're like, we got to get Sheds.
Yeah, of course. No, it's all very exciting. Yeah.
Beautiful intro, by the way, Lockie. Loved it.
Oh. Yes, thanks for
that. I got a good script writer.
That's not AI, right?
No.
It's definitely not AI. No, we write our own stuff here.
Yeah, that's good.
So, how are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well. Yeah, how are you guys?
Oh yeah, pretty good. Cheeks
Doing
are
all
starting
right.
to hurt from smiling and stuff a bit.
Same.
Yeah, I imagine you might get that a lot, actually, Shez, because it's not often that I'd see you not smiling.
Yeah, no, not often, but maybe a bit lately. Not always had a smile on my face, but that's okay. We have those moments, which is fine. We have to embrace that.
We might have to get into more of that a little bit later in the episode. But yeah, thanks so much for joining us. Very excited that you can be a guest here at eScot Game. And I'm not too sure if you've listened to us before, given that you've been in South a lot, so that's okay. But when we have our athlete interviews, we always start and end with the same question, like we bookend our interviews with the same questions.
Okay, yeah.
So our first question is always, where did your basketball journey begin?
Yes. I'd say my basketball journey began at Hills Hornets, which is great. Playing biddy ball and just watching my older sister play, like at training sessions of hers. I'd always, when they're having a break, I'd get a ball, dribble it, do some ball handling skills on the side and try and shoot at the big hoops.
So how old is biddy ball?
Biddy ball, I think, is probably around maybe, I want to say 6 or 7. But yeah, I think I started skills at around 5. So maybe I lied a little bit. Skills and then biddy ball, yeah.
And why is it called biddy ball?
I don't know. It's just a hills, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if it's still called that now, but that's what it was called back then.
I don't think I've heard the term biddy used anywhere else. Have you, Lockie?
No,
Random shit.
it does.
About it. I hope that's what it's called. Otherwise, I just
So how much older is your sister?
5 years.
Okay, so you didn't ever play on teams together. Did you play each other in the backyard?
Here and there a bit. I think that happened more when we got a bit older. But I think I played a few local comp games with both my sisters. So that was really fun.
Oops, I'm in the meantime looking up what biddy means. And I'm not sure how it's related to learn to play basketball for children, but the first thing that pops up when you Google biddy is a woman's, especially an elderly one, regarded as annoying or interfering.
Oh, okay.
Are you sure you were in the right age group?
Yeah.
It was they had both boys and girls in the teams and everything, and we're just like thrown into a team and just like ran a havoc on court.
So is that kind of like the precursor to then playing more organized social comp?
Yeah.
And then how soon did they recruit you to play reps for Hills Hornets?
I actually played under 12s when I was 9, so I was bottom age. Yeah, I was pretty young going into it, but I'm pretty sure I was only in Division 3 anyway, so maybe they just needed numbers.
Don't talk it down. Bottom age is still pretty good, even if it's
it's not bad.
So how many? That means, like, assuming you didn't miss a year of reps with Hills Hornets, how many consecutive years is that? Oh, and then including your youth league career as well. How many years is that?
Yeah, I don't know. It was, when did I start? 12s, 14s. I don't know. My math is not, I don't have quick math right now, but a lot of games, let's say a lot of games. But I was fortunate enough to also get in a few games and train with like the then ABA team, which would be now, I guess, the NBL1 East. So yeah. I got a few games under the Hills Hornets.
Yeah, Lockie, can you do the quick math on junior career and youth league,
So
number
what?
of youth league years?
3 years of 12s and then 14s, 16s, 18s would be, that's 9 years in and of itself. And then a couple of years of youth league before, how many years of youth league before jumping up?
I reckon I only had maybe one full year, maybe like half a year.
Because did you play? Do you play Thiebel for the Sparks?
I did, yeah. I did play Thiebel.
Yeah, so you would have been playing that instead of playing for Hills.
Yeah,
at some
yeah.
point.
I wouldn't go on every away trip for Seabull, so I'd still be playing youth league. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that was 2018. We ended up winning the Banner Youth League, so that was good.
Yeah, you did. I was there for that. That was on your
Really?
home court as well.
Were you commentating?
That was the first year that I ever commentated.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so good.
Yeah, how weird's that? So I think that was the year where I played Championship League for Crew. I'm pretty sure we were wooden spooners. That's okay. I will wear that. And so I had nothing to do come finals weekend, and BNSW put on their social media pages, hey, does anyone want to try commentating? And someone tagged me, and I was like, yeah, sure.
Oh, that's awesome. That's how it began.
That's how it began. I had that false sense of confidence. I was like, yeah, I can do that without really understanding what it is, what it takes to do properly. But that's how it started. Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Lockie, were you at that finals weekend too?
I was at that, but I wasn't commentating. I was at the bar. Which is where I spent most Waratah League finals, and still I started commentating.
Oh yeah, that's okay. That's good.
Yeah. Either celebrating or most times drowning my sorrows. back when I was a full-on Norths fan, and they took a while to win a title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. No,
but
yeah. Anyway, I'm going too far back in my history.
Spending so much time around Hills, who were your basketball idols growing up? Are there names that us Waratah League OGs are going to remember amongst your idols?
Potentially, yeah. When I think of the women's team, definitely Wendy Strong. I think she's retired now. I don't know how long ago. I can't remember if she played for Hills last season, but she was definitely one of the big names that I'd like look up to and be like, oh my God, she's so like cool and athletic, and yeah, I want to be like her. So definitely Wendy Strong. A few other names. Oh, Rachel Herrick. I had the pleasure of playing with her too, a couple of games, which was fun. So definitely those two.
Yeah, that's great. They're two homegrown heroes. Yeah. Sorry, you go, Locke.
Were you around the program when Casey Samuels was playing 4 games a weekend? Was she one?
Oh, yeah.
You would have been in juniors?
Yes, I would have been juniors. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
I forgot about that, actually. That's a really nice deep cut,
That was my first season watching Waratah.
Who else was in that Hills team if they had Casey Samuels?
Jamie Samuels?
Yeah.
Did Jamie Lee Samuels still play too?
Yeah. So, wow. I feel old though. Even though I was like young back then, I feel old.
You feel old.
Yeah. There was a bit of a difference in coaching and how would I say, delivery of instruction, I guess, from that generation compared to your generation. So what was it like when you were really quite young and then playing with that generation of players in ABA, or at least training with them? Like, what was the things that stood out to you the most?
My memory's not that great, but from what I remember, a big trend when you play in WNBL, like the vets will put you in your place. But I think I've been lucky enough, coming up through Hills and everything, the vets were very open and not quite harsh, which is quite nice. Makes for a better environment to learn. So I think that's what I remember from it.
And I guess it's different when you come in as a training player compared to a rookie who's fighting for minutes and potentially taking minutes from the veteran.
Yes.
They're more willing to teach you and help you improve rather than having to battle you for playing time.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Yeah. And what about other basketball idols outside your club? Did you have anyone in the WNBL at that time you looked up to?
Trying to think. I go to a lot of Sydney uni games. I'd say Leilani Mitchell for sure. She's one that I remember. Point guard. Who else? Other teams, I'd say Christy Wallace. Yeah, she's just like a force, like on offense and defense. So she was always exciting to watch play.
And now you get to two of the idols you just mentioned. You get to play against now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, actually. Oh, Christy. Wait, as in the WNBL?
No, sorry, in NBL One East, Ray Cherrick and
Oh,
Leilani
right,
Mitchell,
yeah,
both playing for Crusaders.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, that's amazing.
Sorry, Luck, did I cut you off before?
No, go going. Right.
Oh, cool. So growing up too, were you someone who made a lot of junior state teams, whether that was for New South Wales Metro or, NITP programs, all those high performance type squads? Or were you someone that kind of had to fight for your spots in those high performance squads?
I'd say a bit of both. I was lucky enough to be picked in the NITP, the high performance programs, to be exposed to like a high level of training in basketball. And I think I did make state teams. I was always top age though, but they were a fight to get in. Yeah, it was difficult. But I always like, what can I do to improve, whether that's in the team or as a development player. But yeah, it was tough, like going on those road trips and playing away. Yeah, different style of basketball to what I'm used to, and it was fun and made friends from like other associations, but it was hard. It was definitely hard as a youngster, even though it was like a top ager. I always felt almost like an outsider because I was the only like Hills representative, which is cool. But it was hard. I'd say that for sure.
And does it, I mean, you're coming in every year, trying out as a bottom major, then missing out, making it as a top major. Do you ever get like the feeling that like, oh, I made it in top age, but next year I'm just going to go through bottom age again and probably miss out? Is it hard to like get back up every year for it?
I think so. Yeah, a little bit. That definitely play in my mind. I'd have moments where I'm like, oh, they're not going to pick me because I'm a bottom major, or like, oh, I'm not from their association, they're not going to pick me. But it's just like politics of basketball at that young age. Like, maybe I wasn't good enough to get in the team as a bottom age, and that's completely fine. But I always think I had a good mindset going into it. Like, I just do the best I can, and whatever they saw in me or didn't see in me, that's completely fine. I'm still going to work on my game either way.
Good attitude to have, I think. Hopefully one that you can instill in some of the juniors coming up through the ranks now at Hills Hornets, because it looks like, are you doing a little bit of coaching while you're back home too?
Yes, I'll start being more, I think, around the community and doing some coaching once I can get back on my feet. Yeah.
Is there a kind of timeline for that at the moment, or is it you sort of wait and see?
Wait and see. I'm currently on crutches at the moment. I probably will be for like another 3 weeks because I can't weight bear on my knee. But yeah, I'm thinking like around that time I'll try and, be more involved with the Hills team, develop my leadership skills, and then, maybe do some coaching on the side as well.
Yeah, how much are you able to share with us about your unfortunate injury?
Yeah, no, I can share everything if you like.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I was like, do I say? I don't know.
Oh no, you can share as much as you're comfortable with sharing, because we were all super excited you were back playing for East and back playing for Hills. Like, this 2025 season's been like this hometown hero kind of return with like yourself and Susie Walmsley, Carly McAllister, Isaiah Lee, Jason Kadee. So it was so cool. And then we were equally as devastated for you, and we heard that you got injured. But yeah, please share as much as you're willing to about what's going on at the moment.
Yeah, sure. So I had surgery, I think 3 weeks ago this Thursday. And the surgeon went in, we saw all the MRIs, and he said to me, look, you might have some meniscus damage, but we won't know until I'm getting there. So he repaired the ACL, but then he found a tear as well in my meniscus. So that's why I had, I think, a splint on my knee for 2 weeks with crutches. So I've been bedbound for like, almost a month, which has been really, really tough. Like I can get up and hobble everywhere, but just, not being able to do things that are so easy, just like going to get a glass of water from the fridge is like been so difficult. So that's been hard for sure. And the crutches, I'm so over them, but I definitely I need to use them because the meniscus, if that doesn't heal properly, then, high rates of arthritis when I'm older and, continuous knee pain, which is not fun. So I'm trying to be patient. Not much else to update on, which is probably a good thing. But it's just kind of, I'd say it's like a dead leg at the moment because I can't really do much with it. But no, it's getting better. Yeah.
So how and when exactly did it happen?
So in the opening game against Inner West Bulls, I drove to the basket. It was like halfway through the first quarter and I slipped. Absolutely no contact whatsoever, and my knee just caved. And I just knew straight away when it happened that it was my ACL because, I also did my ACL on that court last time. So it was the whole thing, it's fine. Like it happens.
Oh no, because you did your ACL first time about 4 years ago. Is that right?
7
years ago now. Jeez, COVID has really done a number on me remembering dates and timelines. Those 3 years for one. Wow, 7 years ago on that same court.
Mm-hmm.
Did that kind of cast something in your mind when you were suiting up for that first game? You're like, we're playing at Sydney Uni. That's interesting. Did that kind of bring up that whole?
I've gone over this so many times in my head and I'm like, was it doubt? Like, was it just in the back of my head? But no, I was so ready to play that game. I prepared so well mentally and physically. And if anything, I was excited to play on that court because I know that court. I've trained there, played there for many years. So if anything, I was happy to play there. The home court advantage, but I've been here. This has been my home. It's all good. So no, I don't really think it played in my mind, but that's definitely something after I'm like, what else could I have done to prevent this? But, sometimes you just can't control those things, unfortunately.
It's just such one of those spooky coincidences. Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so devastating. So, and you are normally so active working on your game any chance you get. And now you said you've been bedbound for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
How are you coping? It's so opposite to you.
Lots of reading, lots of gaming. And I've been keeping my hands busy. I have created a website, which is really exciting. I launched it today. Just like a little hub where I can have everything all in one place that people can access, which is, really cool. So that's what's been keeping me busy. I'm like, I need to do something.
Sometimes when these happen, you go on that list of what are the things I've always thought about doing but never had the time?
Exactly. It's just amazing how much space is opened up in my head when it's not consumed by basketball.
Interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us more while you're talking about it, the project that you launched today. Tell us all about it.
Yeah. So in my Instagram captions, I have this little Sherrie's corner where I delve a bit more into behind the scenes, into things I've experienced and how I reflect on that. And I just know I have so much more to share with everyone. And I did a poll the other day of lighthearted or deep conversations, and a lot of people click the deep conversations. So I was like, yeah, you did. I did see it. So I was like, interesting. And if it's something I'm already saying, in my caption, sometimes there's too many words, and I'm like, well, I want to share this stuff. So on the website, there's a blog. So I'll upload some of the things that I want to expand more on my Instagram. But I'm also launching something else I haven't quite announced yet. So there's other things that'll be added up there, but also I have my coaching stuff. So if people want to, be coached by me, then they can go on there and organize that. If they want to contact me, easy to contact and everything. And it also shows like past interviews, like the mental health round I put up there, where you can like look into it and just see all the past stuff that I've done as well. Just having those resources available for people who are interested, that I can give, because I love sharing my journey. And if anyone can like get anything out of it, then that's just a bonus too.
That's just so awesome. I just love it. Sorry, that's all. That's just it.
Yeah. I think some people were a bit disappointed it wasn't a podcast. So when I uploaded it, like launched it today, I was like, oh, I feel like some people will be like let down. But getting to chat to you guys is awesome. So maybe I'll like link something there where they can view this and help you guys out. Not that I think I have a big following anyway, but you know.
That's right. We appreciate the support. We love supporting the athletes, and if the athletes choose to support us, we're all for it as well. So, but is a podcast something that you could see yourself doing in the future too?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's another thing I have to wrap my head around. But yeah, connecting with people in like this way is so awesome, and I think it's so easy to do, but also not. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of behind the scenes work you guys do in preparing and like connecting with others. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, maybe somewhere in the future.
Or somewhere where you can still kind of tell those stories or connect with people that's in the middle of your online corner and podcasting or something. I'm sure you seem very active and creative. I'm sure you'll think of something.
Yeah. Well, I think you've almost got what's almost gonna come.
Oh, all right. We'll have to. Do you have a potential release date that you can share, or should we just keep an eye on your Instagram for updates?
Oh, I was considering launching it this week as well, but maybe I'll save it for next week. What's today? Today's Tuesday. Maybe a week from now.
Okay, cool. So everyone, you hear it here first. Keep an eye on Jess's social media accounts and her online blog and corner to see what the next thing is. That's exciting.
Yeah, so I've got a lot of time in my hands, and I am trying to look at the positives in this situation, and I think there are heaps. Just one of them is not playing basketball. That's not a positive, but you know, like there's still so much to me than just being a basketball player, and I'm really really excited to, you know, delve more into my passions off the court.
Now, look, I realize we've taken opportunities of segues and perhaps have gone off the structure. Where are we up to exactly?
I don't think we asked number 4 yet. We did ask 5 and 7, but we haven't asked 4.
You shoot. If you're
ready,
you go for it.
All right. I mean, while we're talking about you sharing content, you shared a lot of content about, you know, the real life of a women's basketballer in Australia. You know, getting up, packing up and moving every 6 months, things like that. How do you like to spend what little off season you have when you're between seasons?
Yeah, definitely. I think I try and prioritize resetting mentally, emotionally, and physically. And one of the things I did after this WNBL season was go to New Zealand. So I've done lots of solo travels before. I haven't yet been overseas. So I was like, oh, like New Zealand seems like a great place to just have that reset. So I'd say a lot of time in nature, that's huge, and still keeping my body, you know, physically active, going on walks, runs, bike riding, whitewater rafting, which was really cool. I did there, and just giving my body that rest away from basketball, because that's really important too. Other than that, I think I mentioned this before, I love reading, and I love creating and like getting my hands dirty and paint and dabbling in some bullet journal spreads and everything to keep my life somewhat organized. But yeah, that's what I'd say. I do a lot off court in the off season.
And yeah, tell us more about this trip to New Zealand. It looked like a lot of fun. It looks like you got to experience quite a lot of New Zealand as well in a short period of time.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I flew into Queenstown and stayed there for the first 2 nights. And then I just hired a car and just drove around the South Island, taking in the scenery and everything, and having the flexibility of not booking in something every day and just seeing where, that path would take me. So that was really fun. Just I stayed at Airbnb, so I'd get in contact with the hosts and I'd have really lovely chats with them, and they'd tell me places where to check out and everything, which was really cool. It felt more like personalized almost than just flicking through a pamphlet and being like, oh, let's go here, here, and here, so very grounding experience and something I definitely want to do again in the future.
I mean, solo traveling is just the best, honestly.
It is the best.
I mean,
expensive, but it's the best.
You don't have to ask someone, oh, do you want to do this today? And if they say no, it's like, oh, well, you just go do it.
Yeah, it's just you're on your own time. It's great. It's so good.
Yeah, no compromising or anything like that. I mean, it is fun traveling with someone, but it's really hard to find the perfect travel partner, right?
Yeah.
And you learn so much about people when you travel with them. Like they could be your best friend for years, and then you travel with them and you're like, I don't want to see you ever again.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the solo travel is perfect for like, hey, I love people, but I need you to go away now and I need to be by myself.
Yeah. Exactly.
Also, I would find it hard to drag people to the college towns I visit on my solo travel.
On your very niche solo travels, Lockie.
Yeah.
That's a good example where you really can't afford to compromise if you were doing those trips with other people, because you've got very specific places that you would want to visit for very specific interests.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Love. Where else have you traveled on your own, Shez?
So when I was living in Mount Gambier, I would travel to, where did I go? Warrnambool, mainly because they had hot springs there. Perfect relaxation. Yeah. And then I did horse riding there on the beach, which was really cool. And then I went to, do you know the Grampians? They're like huge mountain ranges in like southwest Victoria.
No.
Yeah,
I'm not up to date with my mountain ranges.
Yeah. If you ever like go to Victoria and you have time, definitely check them out because I have really cool like hiking spots. Yeah, it's beautiful there. But I stayed in like a little, like, I think it was like a 1980s cottage on someone's property, like super secluded, no reception, which was probably a bit scary. And I don't know why I did it, but no, it was really fun. And just having like, yourself to keep you company is like huge, because I don't think people do that enough nowadays.
Yeah, I agree. Just being able to turn your brain off or be able to concentrate on one thing or not feel like you have to be mentally occupied all the time has started to become really hard for a lot of people. Like some of my friends just struggle like although you forget the feeling of just being able to relax and do nothing and just let your brain rest.
Yeah, exactly. And not feel guilty about it, because it's so easy to do that. Especially when you're like in season too. Like you feel guilty for taking a day off. Like, oh, I should get some shots up. Oh, I should do some extra things in like the weight room. So yeah.
Yes. And what happens when we should ourselves or other people too much? It's not good. We're not good when we should ourselves into things too much, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, you did mention before that in your on your online platform, you did refer to the mental health round article for WMBL that you were a part of, and we did mention in the intro that you are a mental health advocate. So yeah, tell us a bit more about that and why it's so important for yourself as an individual and why you think it's important for athletes.
Yeah. I believe that, there's different aspects of yourself you need to work on physically, mentally, emotionally that I've touched on before. Because if you don't deal with that stuff off the court, it's going to come up on the court. And I found that when I've navigated, getting better through those, I'm a much better person and I'm a much better teammate. I'm a much better player for myself and my team on the court. So I think it's something that is huge, and being able to reflect on that, what has worked or what hasn't worked for me, is really important in my healing journey, but also the ability to share that with others is something I don't take for granted, because not all people have this platform to do so. And I'm trying to build something that hopefully connects people that are like-minded, or they can just, get a little bit of advice to either help themselves or other people too, because everyone struggles in their own way. If you have an injury or not, if you play basketball, if you play sport or not, I think that's one thing that everyone should be able to empathize with, is that we all struggle at some point in our life. And just making that not as taboo, being able to have these open and honest conversations is huge. And if people can be more compassionate and show more love and happiness within themselves and share that with others, I think the world will be such a better place because of it. And if I can have a little snippet of that by sharing my own journey with others, I just hope I can build a community that is helpful, that if they do struggle, they can come up to me, or they don't have to, they can look and for resources on professional help, because I think there's a time and place for that too as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right. Definitely a time and place for that. I think if people are struggling and are considering engaging in some kind of therapy, just being able to check in to see if they are ready for that, because it's okay also not to be ready for it, but you have to then start to value, well, how much is this going to is this going to continue to be a barrier for me getting to where I want to be, versus am I ready to kind of face that in a therapy session?
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
And what would you say, if you were to have a teammate or a young person say to you, oh, look, I really resonate a lot with your story, I'm thinking about engaging in some kind of therapy, psychology, sports psychology, what would your advice be, or what would you say?
I'd say not to be deterred if the first go doesn't suit you. So if you're paired with a psychologist and you don't really resonate with them, it's okay to not continue down that path, because you're not going to force yourself to be friends with someone if you don't like to hang out with them. And that's similar to any therapist. You got to make sure you can be yourself, and you can have that safe space to bring up the stuff that you are struggling with, so you can be honest and get down into the roots and discover what's really going on.
Where are we up to now, Lockie? I know we've kind of gone off track again.
I think we're up to lucky 8.
Ah, all right. Unless you have any other follow-up questions for Shez and her mental health journey, you're welcome to fire away with question 8 if you like.
Oh, I think we've got a little bit of an insight, but I'd like to hear more about our final question, as always, because basketballers are not just players, they are also people. Mm-hmm. Who is Shez off the court?
I think I hate talking about myself like this, but no, I think I'm a fun person to be around, and I just love creating and being creative and allowing myself to express myself in that way. I'm adventurous. I think I'm very empathetic. I'll give you the time and space to, have deep and meaningful chats, but I can also be very lighthearted and fun, if that's what, if that's what's needed. But yeah, I think that's me off the court.
And you are you mentioned that whilst you've been bedbound for a month, you've been gaming.
Yeah.
You're a big
A
gamer.
lot. Yeah, I mean, on one
What do you
end,
play?
I love the cozy, like warm vibes of Animal Crossing, and then I love like the high adrenaline of Fortnite. So I've been switching between them like every other day, which has been really fun.
We've had a few Fortnite players on the podcast over the years.
Oh, we should have like a little stream of like Fortnite one time.
You
That'd be
definitely
fun.
could. I think Shez might be the first female athlete we've spoken to, though, that
Oh.
has said that they're a gamer in the East.
Yeah.
Oh,
You've had a
maybe
couple
others
of
Hi.
We had some
Maybe you
FIFA players, some Fortnite players. Yeah. But
I
yeah,
got
all
into
on the men's side.
I got into Fortnite because of Zatina Akuso, and
Oh,
I lived with them in Mount Gambier. I think it was two or 3 years ago, and like we'd have like it'd be a game day ritual. We'd have like a Fortnite game and try and get a win together. So that was definitely something. Yeah, that's why I started.
that's pretty cool. And like I think gaming as well is pretty underrated in a sense of like there's so many different cognitive skills that you've got to use and try and develop to be really, really good at gaming, and a lot of obviously hand-eye and fine motor skill coordination.
Yep.
So you can keep your mind sharp with some gaming.
Yes. No, for real. No, I think so. Definitely got a little strategies here and there.
And what books are you reading at the moment? What's your preferred genre?
Ooh, I love fiction and nonfiction. I love fantasy. But a book I'm reading now, which I think resonates with me a lot, is called The Obstacle is the Way. I actually have it right here. That's why I'm looking at it. That's given me like heaps of insight into why I might be feeling a certain way or how I can act and react to, what is my injury right now. So I think that's really helping me. Yeah, it's so interesting. But I love self-help books like that. I think they're huge as well.
What kind of other nonfiction do you read? Are you biographies kind of or something else?
I've read a few. I've read Ash Barty's book. Biographies? No, I don't really read much of those. What is a biography? I feel really silly.
Or a book about, well, I guess if you read Ash Barty's book, that's an autobiography. So yeah.
Autobiography, yeah. I don't know. I feel so silly right now.
I like, because the biographies are obviously about a person, but written by someone else.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, and then autobiography is about a person and their life, but written by the person.
Oh, I thought that was a memoir. Is that what it's called?
Oh, yeah.
No?
Yeah,
No?
I think it's also going to be called a
Yes.
memoir.
So
Yeah.
I think I prefer reading something from their point of view because I feel like you get that connection, I think, a bit better. But then I haven't read many biographies, I don't think.
Yeah. Biographies, they say, are a good gateway into reading. Like if someone isn't much of a reader but wants to start reading or feels like they need to be reading more, biographies are a good way to start.
Okay, cool. Oh, I didn't know that.
There you go. Hot tip.
Maybe I'll circle back on that.
Do you have any aspirations to work in healthcare or in mental health or something when the time comes?
Yes, I'd say yes. Definitely, it's been such a big part of my journey now, and I can't see it leaving anytime soon. Because I feel like I am most myself when I am able to work in that space. So yeah, for sure. I haven't really planned anything like that anytime soon, but yeah, definitely.
Of course, you've still got lots of playing days ahead of you.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Well, Lockie, do you have any final questions for Shez before we say goodbye?
No, just best wishes on the recovery.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see you out there next season.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we'll keep an eye on Cherie's Corner next Tuesday for an announcement of the next project.
Oh, it's set in stone now. I have to write it down, so don't let you guys down.
Yeah, you put it out there. You put it out there now. You got to do it. You got to follow through.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's good. All right.
But
well,
yeah,
thanks
thank you
for
so
having
much.
me.
Thanks heaps for being a great guest on East Got Game. And yeah, well, even though you are temporarily sidelined, we're very happy to see you back in NBL 1 East, and hopefully the Hornets will have a even better season. And yes, and enjoy it as much as you can. And obviously, you still got lots to offer despite not being able to be on the court.
Yes, thank you so much. All right, thanks,
No
guys.
worries.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. No worries.
Bye.
See you later. Bye. All right. Out of order today. It's a bit of a topsy-turvy day today, Lockie. But I did like how Shez was giving us a few seeds for segues during her conversation there. So I think we did well picking them up.
I think so.
But now we flipped the script. Normally we end the episode with the interview, but we still have our East Got Game round 4 game of the week to discuss. And who did we pick this week, Lockie?
We picked, thanks to me texting you about Tsubasa Nisbet, Sutherland versus Illawarra women.
Yes, and I wasn't sure if you were texting me about Nisbet or if you were texting me about the other import. Is it Kiara Bell?
Yes, it is. Which is good too,
Yes.
but I saw her last week already.
Of course, yes. So yes, like you said, Sharkies versus the Hawkies in the women's competition. You were right there at the scene. Talk me through it.
I was right there at the scene, but I still had to go back and watch the game again because I get so locked in when I'm actually commentating that there are things I said during the game that not only do I not remember saying them, I don't remember the play happening.
There were 2 quotes that I wrote down that you said during your commentary of this game that I loved. The first being, sold better than our friend Callum Norris. Sold better than our friend Callum Norris sells houses. Brilliant. The other one was, reads the rebound like a cheap novel.
Thank you. That's an old chestnut. I actually got a text from Caleb today saying that he loved my use of the word serendipitously.
That's
on Eliza Favreau's one of the plays of the week. But it's not about me. It's about the game that actually transpired, and that is a word I have to use less of. The game that happened, and it was the Hawks, as we mentioned earlier, picking up an 88-75 win, their first of the campaign, which they really broke it open in the start of the fourth quarter when they could not miss from outside. It was a 31-16 fourth quarter, and the Hawkies actually shot 11 of 14 on left wing threes. I went and counted the shot chart.
Actually, though, I remember you mentioned it during your commentary as well, where you're just like, well, the Hawks are really good from this one spot. And yeah, you've got the shot chart to confirm that, because I think even Ella Dent, who had 7 from 9 for the game, she had 3 threes in the first half from the exact same spot.
Yes. So she was 7 of 9. The team was 11 of 14 from that area, 12 of 24 overall. And that one was Ella Dent straight up from top of the arc in the fourth quarter. I remember it because I wrote it down. Yes. So everywhere except the left wing, they couldn't hit one. Left wing, absolutely perfect. Or bet just about perfect. But
that is a very specific and niche stat. It would be interesting to see if that continues or if it was just one of those games.
It would be. But I mean, it was close all the way, but for much of the time, it felt like Sutherland had to do more to earn their points. My co-commentator Jake mentioned it at one point. There was a time where Illawarra, every matchup, they had the height advantage. And it was not a rare occurrence. If they didn't have the advantage in every matchup, they probably had it in 4. And then if it's not height, it's length. Like Ruby McDonald, length for days. Nisbet Nisbet is a great signing. But yeah, it always looked like Sutherland had to do more to get their shots. And Illawarra did a very good job of not letting Vanessa Panousis get hot from 3-point range, because she only had 1 3-pointer attempt through 2.5 quarters of action. In the latter stages of the game, she got a few more looks. Some of them were kind of low percentage, even by her standards. Some of them, pretty contested. But yeah, just absolutely not letting Ness get hot. It meant that Fabro had more opportunities and she hit her first 4 from deep. But if you're shutting Panousis down, it goes a long way to beating this Sutherland team. And it meant that the game remained close through those first 3 quarters before Illawarra were just able to break it open.
I wonder, speaking of shot selection between Panousis and Fabro, you're right. Like, Ness really had to work for a lot of her shots. Like, a lot didn't come easy. And then I wonder if after a period of time as well, that started to maybe mentally eat away at her, where she just needed to see one go through the net to kind of make her feel a bit steady. And so I think at times she was also forcing a lot of shots up as well, just to kind of get her flow going. And Fabro as well, sometimes I felt like perhaps shot selection wasn't their best day for shot selection.
Yeah, I mean, Fabro was she was hitting from deep. She would hit her first 4 of 4 from deep and 5 of 8 overall. Yeah, there were a couple of times where I feel like it wasn't always the best shot selection, but I mean, I can't fault Fabro for going 7 of 13 from the field, even if it wasn't. There were. I think that was probably a problem for a lot of Sutherland players. Sometimes, taking the shot when they shouldn't, other times not taking the shot when they should have. And I know there was one exact moment escapes me now, but one where a player just should obviously have gone up, and I don't think it wasn't one off. A couple of players just obviously should have gone up and just tried to dish it off. But again, you get someone like Emerson McRae in the paint. There was numerous occasions where she got beaten for foot speed and was able to recover and just get a block in, just because she's got the height, and she's not slow. We know she can. We know she's got a leap on her. She touched the rim at Blitz, and I'll keep talking about that as long as anyone wants to listen.
Well, I mean, we did kind of get the scoop from Herbie a few weeks ago about these young up-and-coming female athletes who are getting ready to dunk.
I was going to say, the kids have got hops.
The kids have got hops, and we're not talking about the ones you find in a can or a bottle. But I think looking at the stats too, you did mention height and length advantage, which is a great pickup from Jake, because that's something that's hard to pick up on a replay, or maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention. But the rebound count was 34 to 49, respectively, Sharkies, Hawkies. And just I want to see the total blocks as well, like you mentioned.
It was one for the Sharks. And it wasn't so much the
heaps.
Blocks. It was disrupted shots. It's like the Sharks were aware that the Hawks were going to bring the blocks, but it was forcing, a really wide angle layup rather than just being able to go straight to the rack. Or occasionally it was just a foul, but really making them earn them at the line. Kind of, this ball is not going in the hoop. If I have to chop you on the arm, so be it kind of thing.
I did really like how much lane pressure the Hawkies were giving in half-court defense. I think there was a period there where they got quite a few easy steals. Even though the Sharks won the steal count 11-9, I feel like, Ella Dent had 4 of those 9 steals. That was purely from effort and lane pressure.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's got great vision and anticipation, and you can see that when she's playing offense, when she's in the point guard role. But that lane pressure, those steals are purely just from lane pressure and effort. And I think a lot of the steals as well, like Vanessa Panousis had 3 of Sutherland's 11 steals overall. In a similar way was lane pressure, anticipation, experience. But I think on the other side, Hawkies, there were times where they just needed a mental break because they were just making so many mistakes and just kept turning the ball over, which brought up more steals for the Sharks, whereas the steals that Illawarra were getting, I think, was just from great defense. And I really, really liked that about their game. I hope that that's something that they continue to focus on and take a lot of, and almost shape their identity around, because then that's going to make them a lot more competitive this season compared to last.
And there were times where I could feel it in my head, just my brain ticking over because the game was getting kind of, I was like, I want a reason to stop calling the play, but there's nothing happening. They're turning it over, and then they're turning it over at the other end, and then, maybe there's a couple of missed shots and then another turnover, and you look back and forth and you just realize you've just been basically calling a horse race for the last 60 seconds.
Horse race.
But
it's almost like the commentators need to call a timeout on behalf of the teams.
Exactly. It did feel like that a bit. But another thing with Illawarra's defense, deflections isn't a stat, but the amount of times they were getting back on the break, and even Kiara Bell getting back a few times, just knocking balls away, and just forcing Sutherland to go at it in the half court when it looked for all certainty that they were going to get a long outlet and an easy fast break basket. So they're not just bringing in the half court on defense; they're making sure they're getting back as well. Illawarra, and they're a team that only scored 56 points in each of the first 3 games. So you come in, even though they had Nisbet as a new player this week. If you've only scored 56 3 games in a row, you've got to ratchet it up on defense, because that scoring is not guaranteed to get better.
No, and unfortunately, it hasn't gotten better in the last 2 seasons. I'm going to be honest. This has been the Achilles heel of this Illawarra Women's Hawks side, is that they can, just score, just put the ball in the hole. So many times, even in this game, they'd be able to get scraps from an offensive rebound, a deflection, or something, and they'd have 2, 3, 4 attempts under the basket, and just pop, 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 pop. Just put the ball in the hole, ladies, please. Yeah,
there was a 4, there was a 3 offensive rebounds in 1 possession, and they were all close to the rack, because I remember McRae put one up that bounced. That was the final one that bounced away, and I was just like, well, you got 17 offensive rebounds, but how many times did you get 2 or 3 offensive rebounds in 1 possession? And really, you've only come up court once and had 4 opportunities to put the ball in the hoop. So, it's not 17 times you're getting 1 offensive rebound. It's probably 9 or 10 times you've actually got an O board, but you've got 2 or 3 in the 1 possession and still not been able to make anything out of it. And they only had 8 second chance points for the game. On 17 O boards.
Definitely one of the more frustrating parts of Illawarra's game in this particular instance was that, just being able to finish, being capitalizing on those opportunities for more second chance points, because both teams gave up way too many offensive rebounds. Illawarra here grabbed 17 offensive rebounds, and I think Sutherland had a similar number. They had 13 offensive rebounds.
And Panousis had 5 of them.
Just way too many offensive rebounds for both teams. But really needing to capitalize on those opportunities as easy buckets. I think that being one of the frustrating parts of Illawarra's game. And for Sutherland, like you did talk before about how much their half-court offense or even full-court, their offense was really disruptive. They couldn't really get into a bit of a flow. Then I got a bit of a sense that because of that, they just started to panic a little bit at some stages where they'd be like almost relieved that they got the ball over half court. And then they're kind of like, okay, well, we better do something with it now. And then one person would just kind of take it upon themselves to go all the way. Or there were times where it was very much a two-man game for all possession or one-on-one all possession. And then everyone was just waiting to see what that one person was doing. So there was no movement. It was a very, very disjointed offensive game for the Sharks.
Well, I think I mentioned it during the call, is there was one possession where Panusa's got a basket because she was literally the only person on the court moving. There was someone standing at the top of the key with the ball, backing down a defender, and Panusa was the only other person on the court actually doing anything, and she ended up getting the basket. But I don't know if you noticed it, but there were times where Sutherland, even when Illawarra weren't providing a lot of pressure up court, were really slow and methodical in bringing it up. And I don't know when I looked back, Illawarra were pretty physical, and I just don't know if it was a matter of like allowing everyone time to get to their spots, and they were just really struggling with that, with how much physicality Illawarra were bringing. There was just times where it looked like players were just like having to fight any time they stepped in the paint, on ball, off ball, cutting through, trying to seal. It didn't matter what they did. As long if a Sutherland player was getting into the paint, they were getting bumped or, defensive screen. Something, an Illawarra player was doing something to disrupt them.
Yeah, I agree. That added to already what we spoke about before about the Sutherland's main guards having a tough time getting any kind of their favorite shots. But yeah, once it did kind of go into the paint, it didn't go into the paint that often either for the Sharks, but they ended up with 30 of their 75 points inside the paint, which is okay. It was seldom would go in, and there were times that I felt like it could have gone in more often. Not necessarily to be a scoring option, because I think in the second half there was a couple of times when Maddie Norris found herself with a mismatch right under the basket. But just for another point of ball movement and to shift the defense, just to get it in, the old inside-outside change sides saying.
That's exactly what they pulled off in... Must have been late in the game. Might have been third quarter, maybe even early in the fourth, where Liv Douglas got the ball just off the block and immediately fired a pass back across to the opposite wing, and Panusa's buried one of her 2 threes from it. And it was one of the few times where they were able to draw a defender away from Panusa's. It was when they got the ball in there. And I think Maddie Norris had a similar pass out of the paint to someone not long after. So it did work at times.
I think a lot of the times when Sutherland very clearly ran an offense and they ran it well, where people were in the right spots, there was plenty of movement and they let the ball do the work, they got a score out of it. The times where you couldn't tell what they were running and they relied too much of doing something off the dribble or one-on-one opportunities. There's one person and 4 others not on the same page. Then they made their lives a lot more difficult. But when they went back to that textbook team style basketball, they looked great.
Yeah.
They just seemed a little bit disjointed, or some players looked like they were ready for one thing and other players looked like they were running something else. So, that was quite surprising for me from the Sharkies this game.
And I think what best encompasses that kind of disjointedness is the 2 times in the second quarter. It was only one time in the second quarter when where no one came back to a guard wasn't back to receive the inbound pass. Maddie Norris was first to react and came back, and then the pass into Fabro immediately got tipped away by Dent and ended up in a turnover. Fabro tried to save it, and it went out of bounds.
Yeah, and
And I
I
was
thought
like,
that was even.
I-
I thought that was really odd for them.
yeah, I was like, that's not what I see from the Sharks very often. Especially, when you've got players like Fabro and Panousis who are so switched on as your guards.
Yeah, the caliber of playing experience as a group, and the caliber of talent and IQ they have as a group. It was a very surprising game. It just looked like it came down to a lot of misunderstandings and miscommunications. And I'm hoping it's just one of those games where Sutherland can go through the tape and go, oh yeah, wow, we can be a lot better than this. These are the things we really need to focus on. And it's not big changes they need to make. It's all very small changes that can have a big difference. So I'm hoping this is just a temporary blip early in their season, then they can reset themselves and start getting in sync a little bit more.
And the thing with that is, like, there's other times Norris does bring the ball up, but it's always a handoff. Like, she's never going up and passing it in. She'll go up, get the handoff, or hand it off to a guard, and that's where the play will start. Never throwing it to never throwing it in like that.
Yeah, it was very odd. But yeah, hopefully just one of those temporary blips. I did notice though that sometimes it was a little bit slower coming up the court, and I think there was a time in the second half where the Sharkies were at risk of getting an 8-second violation.
There was,
just made it in time.
Hey, that's what I said on the call.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. That's probably where I've directly plagiarized that from. But we need to spend more time talking about the Hawkies celebrating their first win of the season. I didn't anticipate the really great matchup between Bell and Lacey Hawthorne. Really liked that matchup. Kiara Bell and Nisbet, like you said, are great additions to this squad because I think they do provide a lot more length and a lot more versatility now that they've got two players that can confidently play on the inside, and hopefully a little bit more guaranteed scoring, because that really has been their biggest issue the last 2 seasons, just relying on Ella Dent so much to provide the heavy lifting on the scoring end. But I really liked the Hawkies seemed a lot more cohesive, probably for longer periods of time in this game. Like we already mentioned, they won the rebound count. A little bit inconsistent. Like sometimes when, and this could probably be said for both teams in this game, when they were bad, they were really bad.
Yeah.
There was a patch where the Hawkies were like, I think I texted you and I was like, what's this player's background? And then they came good in the end. But they just
and then I texted you back, everyone for Illawarra came good in the end.
Everyone came good in the end, and they certainly did. But there were just these patches where I was like, again, do you need to call a timeout just to reset everyone's brain and focus? Because there was a lot happening that perhaps either could have been avoided, or maybe someone on the court needs to take that leadership and initiative and hold the ball up and be like, everyone just wait, take a breath, and now off we go. Like something just needed to stop all of that.
Well, their starts to each half looked like they were late getting out of the locker room. I mean, they were down 9-2 to start, and then they were trailed again by 6 or 8 after it was really close at halftime. They trailed by 6 or 8 at the start of the third quarter.
And then just really brought it on home, hey?
Didn't they just?
Yeah, 19-4 run to start that fourth quarter. Do you think it was a matter of the right pieces falling in the right place at the right time in that fourth quarter? Or do you think maybe luck was just on their side and everything was rolling in their favor?
I got a lot of notes about the Sutherland defensive breakdowns.
Yeah.
Also, the two short rebounds on the free throws that Illawarra were able to get offensive boards from. The 2 free throws that fell basically off the rim. They didn't bounce away. They literally just fell. And so Illawarra got the rebound and the putback. They turned 2 missed free throws into a 2-point basket.
Oh yeah, sorry. While you're on that, free throws. Honestly, this is always going to be my biggest bugbear in any game. But seriously,
I mean, we even said it. Like even Panousis didn't hit them all. Fabro was 3 of 7. Panousis ended up 3 of 4. She missed the first. But Fabro 3 of 7. Nisbet 3 of 10. Bell 2 of 4.
Like the Sutherland Sharks were 9 from 16, which was 56.25% overall as a team. Illawarra Hawks were 14 from 25, which was 56%. And ladies, get in the gym.
Yeah. It was sub 50% at one point in either the late third, early fourth for the Hawks as well. They hit a few late. Because Ella Dent finished with 5 free throws. She didn't shoot her first until that tech foul on Fabro late in the fourth.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was something weird in the air in the Shark Tank. People missing free throws they wouldn't normally miss. Miscommunications, bad reads on passes. Illawarra making most of their 3-pointers from the exact same spot.
Yeah.
Like this is racking up to be one unorthodox game from both of these teams in really weird ways. Weird ways. It was interesting though, like you mentioned, Sutherland's defensive lapses, just so much. Illawarra just had a lot more freedom in terms of their catches and scoring opportunities deep in the paint the whole game. I think there was a little bit of miscommunication on some pick and rolls and switching and things like that, which gave the Hawkies some easier shots down the stretch. But yeah, even going back to the point you made where the Hawkies made 4 points off 2 offensive rebounds from free throws. I mean, they're those putbacks we talked about in the first half. Imagine if they'd just put away a couple of more of them in the first half, they would have had a much healthier scoreline going into the fourth.
Yeah, I mean, offensive rebounds when it's long off a free throw is one thing, but when you've literally got to go around an opposition player to grab it and you get there. But yeah, I just like this just late the run that Illawarra went on, just a few defensive miscommunications or bad decisions by the Sharks. I think there were 2 or 3 baskets in a row where both defenders jumped to the ball handler, but not in time. They were just able to get an easy path away. There was one where Nisbet set a screen top of the arc, and both defenders jumped to Ella Dent, and she was just able to loop it straight into Nisbet. And it was, and she went to the line for that. There was, there was a Sophie Johnston corner 3 where Pilotati just overcommitted on Dent, and Dent just went back the other way, forced Geordie Dewhurst to help, and just went bang. Sophie Johnston had an acre of space, and and that straight up 3 from Dent. I actually really like that play from the Hawks. Nisbet just rolled to the basket right as the defenders were arriving and sort of just, it wasn't a moving screen, it was definitely a roll, but the defenders sort of had to catch themselves, and it just gave Dent an extra second to knock down the 3. So, I mean, it was good work from the Hawks, but the Sharks definitely had some things to look at in the film with that. It was, I will admit, I went back and all of those 3-pointers, I went back and watched 3 or 4 times and broke it down. And usually I do not do it for that many plays in a row.
Yeah, I found myself having to rewind a lot of this game as well, because there was something would happen. I'm like, how did that happen? And go back and go back and go back and still trying to figure out how did this actually break down? It broke down so quickly and it wasn't as clearly as when we've reviewed other games where the breakdown was like, oh, it's right there. There you see it. It just would happen very, very quickly and easily for both teams. in this game. I also found myself having to rewind certain bits. But another thing I'll add is Geordie Dewhurst, understandably, probably getting less court time given that Panousis is back and Fabro is still back. But when she came on, she really sparked some good energy, like especially on defense. She was bringing something a little bit different, trying to make a little bit of a shift from the funk that the Sharkies were in at the time. I really, really liked that. And then I was kind of hoping that they just keep her out a bit longer to help maintain it.
She always does. She brings such energy. She just absolute, she's just, I don't know what the exact word I'm looking for is here, but just like, it's more than just energy and hustle. Like, it's real, like there's real grit about her as well. She obviously has a lot of responsibility in youth league, which helps. Similarly to Emily Garland, they've been the leaders of the youth league team for so long that it really gives them a lot of confidence in whatever game they play. And I mean, Geordie's been part of this team now for, I don't have my notebook on me, but she's got it has. I wrote down the number of appearances she has in NBL 1 by now, but she's been around this team since the start of NBL 1, so she's full and truly entrenched. She's a bona fide member of the team, and yeah, I love to see her get more playing time and really spark things.
Well, see, she's been playing in the NBL 1 so long that I forgot that she's still eligible for youth league.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Let's not get. You're going to get me started on the age limit for youth league again.
Yes. That can be in our special secret venting episode. That is not a thing. I'm just being silly, by the way. I'm not planting any seeds here, guys. No. Yes, that is something we will naturally refer back to because it always becomes a bit of a point when we're referencing players like Jordan Dewhurst.
And actually, my last note of the game is the double team on Lauren Gatwood by Jordan Dewhurst and Emily Garland that forced the tie up late. When, for all intents and purposes, the game was probably gone. But just scrappers to the last.
Oh, and I thought you were going to make maybe some kind of meaningful metaphor around the fact that someone like Lauren Gatwood was such a shining light and had such a great career in her own right, and then she's being defended by two future stars of the league or something. I went way too deep on that reference.
No, I got my Lauren Gatwood legacy mention out at the start of the game when I talked about how herself and Liv Douglas were on the Sutherland 2015 Waratah League Grand Final team together.
There you go. I did really like. I love how well Lauren Gatwood can still defend. Like she's still playing WNBL back in the day. Like she did a really great job on the likes of Eliza Fabro when Ella Dent was either guarding someone else or taking a rest. She still got it. I love to see it.
Lauren Gatwood's still young.
Oh yeah, she's also someone that's been around so long that you feel like they should be older than what they are.
She's 12 days younger than me, and I remind her of it every time she complains about.
And you're like, hey, don't talk to me about age. I'm older than you.
Pretty much.
Love it. Any other final thoughts before we wrap up tonight's episode?
Like you said, hopefully it's just a temporary blip for the Sharks and they can, get slightly more, cohesive in the next game because I don't see like a team that's, got a lot of players that have played together. No Taya Webb anymore this season. Obviously, no Lauren Nicholson at the moment. But, a lot of players that have played together and know each other pretty well. Probably go through the tape, implement some things in training, head up to Sydney Uni on Saturday and take on Inner West and hopefully put in something better. and they're obviously capable of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think what kind of added to my surprise and a little bit of disappointment in this game is that I know the caliber of players they have, like I said before, in terms of experience, skill and talent, and IQ. And that's why I was really surprised with how, like, what I was seeing and their performance. But yeah, they don't have to move heaven and earth to make these changes. They all are very small changes. It's just creases that needed ironing out. And then hopefully they can do it sooner rather than later, and they'll be unstoppable. And certainly still not a team that any opposition is going to take lightly at all.
Well, North didn't take them lightly on their second game of the weekend, that's for sure.
Yes, that was, impressive. Very impressive. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, for both teams, it was a very tough second game of the weekend, taking on North, and then Illawarra had to face up against Newcastle. So, but that's not the teams you're fighting for a spot in the 8. They'll probably beat everyone, those two teams.
Yeah,
the teams you're fighting to get into the 8. If a team fighting to get into the 8 can pull off a win against North or Newcastle, a team like that, it is going to be absolute gold dust. We say that every year. There's always 3 or 4 teams where if you steal a win against them, you can almost bank it that you're going to have one over those teams you're fighting for and fighting within the mid-pack.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, we've just ticked over the 2-hour mark. We sure do like to yap. That's what we're here for. We love a yap. So thanks again to everyone joining us for this week's episode of East Got Game, especially to those who have tuned in live on YouTube. Absolute, the loyalty is strong. Remember that you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We still do have that very optimistic hope and belief that we can get to 1,000 subscribers. I think we're up to about 17 though, so that's good.
Very nice. And you haven't even pointed out.
Oh, what have you got there in the background? You're right. I've totally brushed over it.
That is my Tasman Haynes Bankstown Bruins jersey.
Yeah, you put up a really nice photo on our Instagram stories of the 3 jerseys that you got. They look really, really great.
They are really, really great.
You happy with how they turned out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real happy.
So when are you going to debut one of these new jerseys in the flesh? Have you decided what game you're going to wear it to next?
A game where I'm not commentating, or a Bankstown game I am commentating. I don't know. That's the problem. I can't roll up to Comets Penrith on the weekend in a Bankstown jersey.
Yeah, that's correct. That is true. You're either going to have to be like off duty or actually watching a Bankstown game.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't even know when I'm commentating a Bankstown game next. Don't even know if I have another Bankstown game this year. We'll see.
Oh, you might have to, if you ever have a weekend off, you might actually have to go to a home game.
A weekend off? What's that?
I'm not sure. It's a thing I've heard about. I think
you're about to. You've got North starting, so you're about to be like chat as well.
No, thankfully, we do have North starting this Friday. On another long weekend. This will be our 3rd long weekend in a row. Thank you, Queensland. Because our Labor Day is in May, whereas New South Wales Labor Day is in October. And your King's birthday weekend's June and ours is October. Anyway. So NBL 1 North does start this Friday. I was due to do the game of the week on Friday the 9th, but instead I'll be at the Sunshine Coast watching the Opals and the Boomers Trans-Tasman clash. So I'm only rostered to do a game of the week in June, which is fine by me. And the Brisbane Caps, I think, have the first 4 or 5 games away.
Oh, well, okay. So you got a bit of time to
I got time.
Prepare.
Yeah. I got lots of time. But will I cram on the last minute? Yes, I will.
Nice. And Comets Bankstown, 31st of May.
Oh, at Comets though, if you're commentating for Comets, are you allowed to wear a Bankstown jersey?
It's not a Bankstown jersey. It's an Andre Walford jersey.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I like that spin. Good luck with getting that through the front doors at Alexandria. Anyway, a reminder again, yes, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Eastgot Game, or you can find all of our episodes on your preferred streaming platforms. But for now, what should we tell the viewers before we go, Lockie?
Don't sleep on the East.